Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock. It's time for another video. And today, this is a requested video. This is one that people have been asking for since the beginning part of the year. And I'll be honest with you, right at the beginning of the year, I filmed a video like this. And we forgot to put it up. And we only found it a couple of weeks ago, filmed, but it was kind of out of date. And so a lot of the stuff I talked about didn't make any sense because it had already happened. So we're doing another one. And this is basically a video talking about some of the stuff that could come out from me throughout the rest of 2024. Kind of like my 2024 second half of the year release schedule. Like I said, we did this at the beginning of the year, but I was talking about stuff like Evoke. I was talking about stuff like Magic Button and mind blocks and superimposed and stuff like that. So a lot of it, to put that video up again now, 6 months later, would just not make any sense at all. But we are getting people asking all of the time, oh, I love your material, Craig. What have you got coming out this year? What else have you got coming out? And that's what this video is all about. I'm going to talk you through what's happening this year from a production point of view and what I'm actually potentially bringing to the market. I say potentially bringing to the market because honestly, this is not a fine science by any stretch of the imagination. You see, you have to understand that I release Magic with fairly big companies, pretty big companies, Murphy's, Penguin, Alakazam, things like that. And they've got a lot of other stuff going on. I'm just one small cog in a big machine when it comes to Penguin and Murphy's. And because of that, what tends to happen is I have no idea when stuff's coming out. I have no idea when things are going to be released. I could think, right, I can't see any reason why this won't come out in 2024, but then it won't, and it might not come out till next year. And I don't want to talk about 2025. So there's no fine science to this. I could be talking to you about something. For example, let me give you a perfect example. Superimposed, which has just come out. I thought that was going to be last year. I thought that was going to be a Black Friday release 2023, and it's only just come out now. The Mirage deck project that I've just brought out through Alakazam, which has been really well received, I thought that was going to come out in 2022. Like, that's how long ago I filmed this. So you never know. You never have any idea. I could say to you, this is going to be released, and it might not be. And I also can't give you exact specific information about each product because I will get in trouble with various different Magic companies I work with. But I'm going to be as clear and concise as I can. And for people that say I'm hyping up my products, I tend to not try to hype up anything. If you actually look at a lot of the products that come out with my name on it, the only time you find out about it is when it actually gets released and people are asking me questions and I'm answering questions. I don't hype people up for weeks beforehand. But this has been a requested video. This has been very requested. Michael's pointed out to me. So we're going to go for it. So we're going to look at my 2024 third and fourth quarter release schedule. The one thing I'll say is I'm not going to be talking about anything that's happening on the Netrix. The Netrix is a separate thing. As you know, a lot of people that are watching this will probably be a subscriber to the Netrix. We put 5 routines up there every fortnight. It's why you don't ever see me bringing a download out. It's because anything that I might consider to be a download goes on the Netrix for the subscribers. And a lot of the stuff that you see go on the Netrix will eventually become a product, or potentially could become a product down the line. But I'm not going to talk about the Netrix at all. I'm not going to talk about what's going up on the Netrix at all, even though there's some very, very awesome stuff that's going up this year, including a bunch of stage items that I've been holding on to for years and years and years. But we're not going to talk about that. This is physical products that are coming out third and fourth quarter of 2024. If you're interested in my products, let's go for it. So first of all, we're going to talk about Murphy's Magic, the world's largest magic wholesaler. And a lot of people don't realize that Murphy's Magic has kind of multiple different departments to it and completely different sections. And I tend to work specifically with the studio department, which is their creative hub. It's people like Matt and George and Lloyd and Titanus. And they're the part of Murphy's that create their own tricks and source artists, and they bring that trick to market themselves. And I tend to work pretty much with the studio department. Every artist has a handler within Murphy's. I feel like it's an FBI thing. Mine is Lloyd, so I work very, very closely with Lloyd Barnes to bring anything that Murphy's brings out. My first point of call is Lloyd Barnes. So let's talk about some stuff that's coming out with Murphy's. So the next thing is not even my product. Now, as you know, I tend to front a lot of products for various different companies. You've seen me on projects by so many artists over the years. And I like doing that because one of my favorite things when I'm creating magic is coming up with ideas and coming up with routines and coming up with concepts for props and for gimmicks and for things that have been released. I like to put my own creative spin on it. And I love being asked to be involved in a project because it means that I kind of get to shape how the product is going to look moving forward, right? And the first thing I want to talk about with Murphy is, like I say, it's not my product. It's a product that's coming out through Rich Relish. I'm very proud that Rich is a instructor on the neck tricks. As far as I'm concerned, Rich is one of the best mentalists that you'll never have heard of. He's brought stuff out in the past through Alakazam. He's brought stuff out through the 1914. This is the first product that he's going to have coming out through Murphy's, and I was involved in this project from very early on. And so I'm on the tutorial with him all the way through. You'll see me doing some of the live performances and some of the routines that are on the project are mine as well. But this is all Rich Relish. This product is Rich's creation from the ground up. It's his concept, and it is absolutely genius. As you would expect with Rich Relish, this is a mind-reading thing. So this is a device. I'm not going to call it a pack of cards. It's not a pack of cards, but it's something that's like playing cards, but it's not like, I've brought out the Infinity deck, which is a pack of cards that's not cards. This is not really that at all. This is something that everybody would recognize immediately. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to do so many different routines that really help people visualize. And, I learned all of the stuff that Rich went through on this project. And obviously I had a bunch of my own routines as well. And when I was going out performing this, the reactions were insane. Like, I'm talking through the roof. I think if you're a mind reader, or if you like doing mental magic, if you're a magician, but you like to have a mental twang to your work, then this is something that you're really going to enjoy. Now, the last thing I heard was I was told that the tutorial had been done and they were constructing the trailer already. So this is going to be coming out soon. So look out for this. This is great. Really, really great. So that's the first thing. Not really mine, but I thought we'd start with that. I've got a bunch of stuff in development with Murphy's, but I'm only going to talk about the stuff that I think is going to land this year. And the first is a routine with some poker chips, which is the perfect everyday carry. Now, the weird thing is when it's kind of weird when you are a creator and a trick comes out and people start talking about it for the first time. It's kind of like everybody's talking about it. It's a fresh thing. They're talking about it for the first time. But typically, the creator would have been performing for this if they're worth their salt for a couple of years, if not longer beforehand, because they've been working it in and putting the routines together. And this trick that's coming out through Murphy's Magic with poker chips, this has been in development now for about 3 years. And for anybody that was at the Blackpool Magic Convention in February, you would have seen me performing this at the Blackpool Magic Convention. There was a big buzz going about this trick. In fact, there were a few people that posted on the Blackpool Facebook group going, where can I get the trick Craig Petty was doing with poker chips? It's a real everyday carry type thing. It would have actually probably come out by now if it wasn't for a small issue that we had with the units. So we had to kind of get something done that has added extra time on, which is going to make it even better, to be honest. But that's added on an extra 3 or 4 months. But this will definitely see the light of day before the end of the year. And this is really strong. So it's very much an everyday carry. You have 3 poker chips in your pocket, you bring them out, and you can do this routine. It is absolutely mind-blowing. It is a walk-around routine. As anybody who would have seen me do it at Blackpool, it's a walk-around routine. It is absolutely impossible. And it involves playing cards, but doesn't actually involve a deck. It is my solution to a problem that I've been working on for probably 25 years. And if anybody is an avid viewer of this channel, I've talked about this problem many, many times. And I've talked about how there's no perfect solution to this problem. This is about as close as you're going to get. And this is super commercial. Every magician that I showed this to at Blackpool was just blown away. They were like, I just don't understand how that could work. It doesn't make any sense. But it's really, really strong. And having worked with it for so long, I've got a bunch of different routines that you can do with it as well, as you would imagine. So the poker chip thing is definitely coming out this year. I say definitely, you never know, but I'm 99% sure. This is one that I thought should have come out maybe last year. Anyway, the next one is, there's not a week goes by on the Q&A if I don't get this question. I've started ignoring it because I'm answering the same question every week. But people ask me about the Quantum Deck 2. I wish I'd never referred to it as the Quantum Deck 2 because it's not the Quantum Deck 2. The only reason I referred to it as the Quantum Deck 2 is because I started working on it with input from Lloyd Barnes the second the Quantum Deck landed. And it uses elements from the Quantum Deck. It uses a couple of principles from the Quantum Deck, but it uses other principles as well, millions of other principles. You wouldn't recognize this. If I perform this to you, you wouldn't think of it as Quantum Deck 2. You probably wouldn't even see the correlation between this and the Quantum Deck. And it's funny, I say that, and now every single time I bring a trick out through Murphy's, people go, is that the Quantum Deck 2? So when Infinity Deck came out, people were like, is this the Quantum Deck 2? No, it's not. I'll tell you when it is. But it's got a name now. I can't tell you what the name is. But it is the cleanest method to achieve the effect that is achieved, like the cleanest method. It's a very popular premise that's been tackled by a lot of people, and I'm tackling it now. And it's impossible. Like, it's impossible to construct. It has so many plus points. It has so many good things going for it. And it is super commercial. When you see the reactions that you get from this, people lose their mind. Like, they just can't comprehend how this could be done because everything takes place in their head. The information that you get, you don't write down. There's no memory work. There's no crib. There's no fishing. There's no nothing. They think of something. They never write it down. They never tell you. And you instantly know what that thing is they're thinking of. And not only that, you can show that you knew it from the very beginning. This is really, really strong. And if you like doing strong commercial magic, strong commercial card magic, because it's a card effect. I don't even know how long this tutorial is going to be. I know I'm known for long tutorials, but this deck is designed to do one thing, and it does it really well. But it only does that one thing. Now, there's nothing wrong about that because I think it does this one thing better than any other deck or any other way of achieving this one thing has been done. But it only does one thing. So I don't think it's going to be a very long tutorial, to be honest, especially as it's completely self-working and you can do it straight from the box. So that's the second thing through Murphy's. And then the final thing, a lot of people have said that Infinity Deck is a lock-in for Trick of the Year, which I really love hearing. And I've heard that about a couple of my effects now, which is great. Infinity Deck was special to me because it was the first trick that I brought out with Lloyd Barnes. Myself and Lloyd worked on the Infinity Deck right from the very beginning. And I've been very open in saying to people asked, are you and Lloyd going to be working on something else? We have 4 projects that we're working on. The first one was the Infinity Deck, that's come out. The second one I'm going to talk about in a second. And then the third and the fourth are in various stages of development. But there's 4 things that we're working on together as a team. And this one that I'm talking about now, I'll openly tell you, is the Gaff deck project. Now, I've been talking about this on this channel for about 2.5 years. I mean, the Magic podcast has been going for 2.5 years, and we were talking about it before the podcast even began. It's Lloyd has a background in gaff decks. If you don't know, gaff decks are probably, and by gaff decks, I'm not talking an invisible deck or a mirage deck or something like that. I'm talking about like an old school gaff deck where you've got 56 cards and each card does something, right? That's what I mean by a gaff deck. It's Lloyd's favorite type of product. It's my favorite type of product. Lloyd's released a gaff deck in the past when he worked with Illusionist, and people like Magic Orthodoxy said it's the best gaff deck ever created. And myself and Lloyd very early on said, you know what, we should team up and we should come up with a gaff deck. Myself and Lloyd. And it's very interesting because we approach it in different ways. Lloyd is not a professional performer. So because of that, he comes up with the craziest methods that look incredible, but maybe aren't that practical. Well, I come at things from a practical point of view because I work commercially in the real world and I want things that I can actually perform in any environment. And when those two approaches to a project like this come together, and I'm able to temper him and he's able to kind of bring me up a little bit, we end up with something that's just astronomical. And our approach going into this gaff deck was that it would be all killer and no filler. So if a routine requires the use of a double backer, great, go get a double backer from somewhere else. We're not going to supply it. We want every single one of those cards in that deck, and we want the card box, we want everything to be something that you can use for a trick. And every card has multiple routines that you can do with it. Some of the cards work with each other. Some of them work with others. It's just killer. It's absolutely killer. We've spent 3 years going back and forth on it. I've had trips over to Wales, sitting in his kitchen, surrounded by playing cards. I've had multiple Zoom calls. We've gone back and forth, and we've argued about stuff that should be in there and shouldn't be in there. And we've finally got to the point where we are absolutely happy. This is close to being tutorialed. And what I mean by that is we're close to a situation where I can actually start doing a tutorial for this. And I think it'll be a long tutorial because it's kind of like 56 mini tricks, more than 56, because each card does multiple things. So there's a lot that you can do with this. This is going to be the best value for money you've ever seen. I am so excited about people getting this in their hands. I think it's going to be the best gaff deck that anyone has ever seen, and myself and Lloyd have put a lot of hard work into it. So that's Murphy's. There is other stuff that I'm working on with Murphy's. I've got a couple of collaborations that I'm doing with Phil Smith that are coming out through Murphy's as well, but in reality, that isn't going to be 2024. So let's now move on to Alakazam. And weirdly, I've only put one trick out through Alakazam this year, which is the Mirage Deck Project. And for everybody that bought the Mirage Deck Project, I really appreciate it. But I think we've kind of waited until the end of the year to pile all this out. So what's coming out with Alakazam? So first of all, I'm telling you right now, the Svengali Deck Project will be seeing the light of day before the end of the year. You guys know that I love my projects. You know, the first thing that I did was the Invisible Deck Project, Invisible. Then I did the Cheeky Project. I've done the Beyond Stebbins Project. I've done, Forecast on the Mirage Deck. On the Mem Deck. I've done the Mirage Deck Project. My favorite deck of all time is the Svengali deck. And I'm so glad that finally this is going to come out this year. How do I know it's going to come out this year? I've done the live performances. I've done the tutorials. They have been edited. The trailer has been edited. Everything has been done. There is nothing left to do. It has all been done. So I'm excited about that, the Svengali Deck Project. I'm really excited. It's my favorite gaff deck, and I know so many people love the Mirage Deck, and sales of Mirage decks have gone through the roof since I brought it out. But the Svengali Deck Project is even better. I can't wait for people to see some of the stuff that you can actually do with a Svengali deck. So that's the first thing. I've also got a packet trick coming out. So for Netrix members, there's a packet trick on the Netrix. I'm not going to tell you which one because there's a few, but there's a packet trick on the Netrix that everybody raved about. It's like the hidden gem. Because there's so much stuff on the Netrix, I think there's like 500 routines. It's easy to miss stuff. But there's a packet trick on the Netrix. And people rave about it. It's one of the things that Netrix members say to me. They go, "Oh, I do this all the time." And unfortunately, the way you have to make it is you have to draw something on a card, on a few cards, because I never had it specially printed. I just taught you how I used to do it. And I said to Pete, "This is an incredible trick, but it would be so much better if the cards were specially printed." And then what do I know? He specially prints the cards for me, and I've taken that initial packet trick that was on the Netrix, and I've using the cards that you get, I've expanded it, and now there's a bunch of stuff that you can do with this. But the core packet trick is so commercial, and I've never bought a packet trick out before. Actually, I'm lying, I have. I bought out Elf. Elf was a packet trick, but it's the only packet trick I've ever bought out, so I'm bringing out a packet trick. It's based on something I've been doing for years. It's been on Netrix for a little while, but it's getting updated with specially printed cards for the first time. The next thing, okay, so the next thing, there's a couple more things with Alakazam. First of all, I've got something coming out called Toys. That's the name of the project. It's called Toys. And it is a 30-minute mentalism act using nothing more than a toy catalogue. So imagine that you had a toy catalogue, and it's not a big thing. It's like a pamphlet thing. Like if you've ever shopped with Alakazam and you have their catalogue come through, their pamphlet that comes through every month in your order. It's that sort of thing. It's that kind of sort of size, right? So you have this, you can fold it up and put it in your pocket, and you can do like a 30-minute mentalism act with it. It's a very, very, very long project. I think there's like 3 or 4 hours worth of tutorial. There's like about 25, 30 routines, but there is so much you can do. And you can literally just take this out your pocket, and just using this, you could do like a 30-minute act. It's very everyday carry. People freak when they see this. And here's the thing, my sounding board when it comes to anything like any trick that I release is Nemid. Nemid's one of my best friends in the world, and I show him everything as I'm creating it because he's a genius as far as I'm concerned. And I showed Nemid this when I got the prototypes about 6 to 12 months ago, and he's like, "Hey, that's really good. I don't think it's my style." I was like, "Okay, cool." He then filmed the tutorial and the live performances for this project, and he filmed the whole thing. And after filming the tutorial and watching the live performances, he's like, "No, that's definitely my thing. I need to do this. I need to put this into my act immediately." It's really, really cool, and it takes up no pocket space, and there's some effects in it that are just mind-blowing. So there's those. I'm also going to tell you that Ryland's got his second trick coming out with Alakazam probably this year, and I'm on it. It's a Lego themed trick. What would you expect from Ryland? And it's a Lego themed trick that is really, really cool. It's very good. So there's magic and there's mind reading. It literally just fits into your pocket and you're good to go. I'm so proud of him because this whole thing, there's so much you can do with this trick, and it's a big part of his close-up act. So when he goes out and he does walk around, and when he goes out and does restaurants, he always does this trick, right? This is like one of the big tricks that he does. I can't wait for people to see it, because when I first showed it to Peter Nardi, or when Ryland first showed it to Peter Nardi, Ry fooled the pants off him. And as far as I'm concerned, Pete is one of the most knowledgeable men in magic, and every magician he's shown it to, they've got no idea how this works. But it's super commercial as well, and I'm on the project. I contribute to a few extra routines, but like I said, with Rich's thing, it's all Ryland. And then I've left the two, as I say, probably not all of these things are going to come out with Alakazam. I'm just listing some of the stuff that I know is kind of in the pipeline that we've filmed or we're ready to bring out. But like I said, the Mirage deck project that's just come out has been 2 years waiting to come out. But the other two things that I really want to quickly mention, the first is I've got a trick coming out with AirPods. And a few people have seen this. Thomas Maloney has seen this and bought himself a set of AirPods just to do this trick. Not that you need them. You don't need AirPods. You get everything that you need. So you don't need AirPods. And if you want to borrow the AirPods, you can. But I've got this AirPod trick coming out. I showed this to one of the most knowledgeable people in Magic yesterday. That's why it's in my head. One of the most knowledgeable people in Magic asked me about this. And I showed them the trailer. They live in America, so I obviously couldn't perform it to them. They rang me up, and I showed them the trailer, and then I sent them a live performance. And they just sent back, and they've seen everything. They just sent back, OMFG. That is the most insanely visual thing I've ever seen. Give it to me now. Like, and everybody said the same thing. Everybody, I remember Nemid, we filmed this before Blackpool. It was meant to come out at Blackpool as a soft launch, and it didn't because we didn't have everything ready at the time. The packaging's there, almost. We're just waiting for the actual gimmicks. And Nemid turned around to me and he said, that is just going to sell and sell and sell. Everybody that walks past Alakazam that sees that demo, they're going to buy it immediately. It's just a no-brainer. You would just literally buy that immediately, and you're going to have everybody performing the shit out of that. And he's right, you are. Like, it is so commercial. It's probably my favorite everyday carry at the moment. It's even more of an everyday carry for me than Keymaster, and that says something because I love Keymaster. And again, there's so many different things that you can do with it, but it's super visual, it's super commercial, and the routine is just really well structured. And a big shout out to Drew Perry, who was able to make this happen, because it wouldn't have happened without Drew. I came to him with a crazy idea, and he was able to come up with a solution. And the nice thing is, it works with any AirPod design. It makes no difference. And then the other thing that's coming out with Alakazam, we are on track to have the 4th Elite Coin Range set come out by Christmas. I've been working with the gimmicks. I've been creating the routine since early on this year. It's a gimmick that I've created that's very, very different. It's based on an old gimmick, an old coin gimmick that people don't use anymore. But we've literally taken it in a completely different direction. Like, it's gone to the nth degree. And when you see what you actually can do with this, it's just mind-boggling. And it was really important to me that if we did a 4th coin set, it was very different to any of the other 3, because we hit it out the park with Mirage, we hit it out the park with Apparition, we hit it out the park with Nightshade, and I wanted to make sure that A, this was up to the same standard as all of those coin sets, but also B, I wanted to make sure that it was very, very different. I didn't want to just do variations of the same tricks that you learned off Nightshade. What's the point in that? The gimmick is different, the routines are different, the handling is different, and by God, the magic you can do is strong. So that's everything that's coming out with Alakazam. I will say, I hear you. People have been asking for a re-release of the coin bags from Attack and Return of the Bag. I hear you, and I'm talking to Peter Nardi about that right now. So, then we come to Penguin Magic. Now, I've already bought a lot of stuff out through Penguin Magic this year. I've already bought out the Magic Button Project. I've already bought out Level Up. I've already bought out Mind Blocks. And I've already bought out Superimpose. That's 4 tricks that have come out this year through Penguin. Not many people bring out 4 tricks in a year with Penguin. Period. So I don't know how much more stuff will be coming out with Penguin this year. I can tell you about 3 or 4 things that I think could potentially come out. So the first is a credit card routine. Now, that got filmed at the same time as Superimpose and Mindbox, and it is so cool. This credit card thing is brilliant. It's another everyday carry. You throw some credit cards in your wallet and you're good to go. And it's very different to anything that you've seen with a credit card before. Most credit card routines go in a particular way. This doesn't. It goes in a completely different direction. So it's very, very different to anything you might have seen before. But look, when I filmed all of the last block of stuff with Penguin, this is the routine that got the best reactions. This is the routine that caused Dalton Wayne to turn around to me and say, if we put a Netflix logo on those reactions, you've got a special right here. And it's true. It is just ridiculous. It's walk around, it's stand up, table magic, it's instantly reset. Everything's examinable. You take these things out your wallet and you're good to go. This is sick. Like, this is incredible. Can't wait for this to come out. I filmed that, and when Ryland was there last October doing his show, we also filmed a really interesting way of doing any card at any number. And this is something I've been using for a couple of years. It's very, very unique. Imagine being able to do an any card at any number when they can name any card and they can name any number, and the card will always be at that position in the deck, and you can borrow the deck. So you can borrow a deck, you can have the deck shuffled, the deck is examinable because it's borrowed, it's not gimmicked. You have someone name any card, you have someone name any number, they deal through the cards, and that card appears at that number. That's what we have with this any card at any number. It's very, very strong, and you can literally borrow the deck. There is a special something you have to have. I'm not going to go through what that is, but as long as you have that thing, which I just keep in my wallet, and it's not a thing that's hidden. It's not like a gimmick that people aren't aware of. They're aware of this thing. So you bring something out and you give it them, and that will allow you to do that any card at any number with a borrowed deck. That's really cool. So there's that. There's the credit card thing. The other two things to talk about is the book. So people have been asking about my book. My book is published by Penguin Magic. Penguin Magic own Hermetic Press, so they are in the book publishing business, and we've been working on this book for 1.5 years. We wanted to create Magic TV in book form, and myself and Eric Tate have been working very hard on that. I went to the P3 Theatre and filmed all of the routines in front of a live audience, so when you read the book you can see a live performance of the routine, which is great. And you know, there's so much in there. We created Magic TV in book form. That's what I'm going to tell you. There's a ton of tricks, but it's not just tricks. There's a load of essays in there as well. There's some surprises in there for people. It's very different to any book that you've ever seen before. So for people that have been asking if there's a Craig Petty book coming out, yes, it is. And I can imagine that it will land at some point this year, maybe even as early as Magic Live. The last thing that potentially could come out this year, I'm going over to Penguin to film for 1.5 weeks, and I'm filming a bunch of stuff, and most of that stuff won't come out till 2025. But there is one thing that I think could come out later this year, and it's another thing with it's not credit card, sorry, it's another thing with poker chips, and it's a collaboration between myself and Phil Smith, in that Phil did all the design work for this project, and it's not a deck of cards or anything like that, but the design work was very, very important to make what this does work. And it's very different to anything that me and Phil have worked on before, but there are so many things that you can do with it. This is kind of like, how can I describe it? This is kind of like a set. So you have lots of different things that you can do. So it'll be, you know, you'd open it up and you're like, okay, so you got this and this and this and this and this, and then the tutorial is going to go through everything. Right, if you combine this with this, you can do this. But if you combine this with this, you can do this. Combine this with this, you can do this. And there's so many different options. And you just throw them in your pocket and you're good to go. And it's very, very cool. Magic and mentalism, some really visual moments, and people are going to love this, I think. So that is Penguin Magic. I think that's everything with Penguin Magic. I'm just looking at my list here. I have a list. I've got it slightly off camera, and I can't read my writing, so let me just check. What does that mean? Oh, I know what that is. Okay, so those are the 3 companies that I do a lot of my work with: Penguin Magic, Murphy's, and Alakazam. I'll quickly say to you that I am doing a couple of things with TCC. So myself and TCC are working together. I've been very impressed, as you know. If you watch the Craig and Ryland review show, you'll know that I'm very impressed with TCC. 90% of their stuff hits. Some of it doesn't, but the majority of it does. Ryland's favourite trick is the wand with the feather, the X-Light thing, and that's obviously TCC. TCC are great. I love them. And we contacted each other and spoke about working with each other. And there's 3 different things that we're working on, but we're moving forward with one right now. So we're taking them one project at a time. But really because we're testing the waters on both sides. I want to make sure that they're the right company to deal with, and I'm sure they want to make sure I'm the right artist to deal with as well. But we're moving forward on one particular thing, and without telling you what it involves a Sharpie marker, and it is this, only TCC could do this. I don't think there's another company in the world that could do this. If TCC weren't on board with this, then this would not happen. So I'm quite excited about that. So look out for that. They work fast. Working with TCC is being a really interesting experience. They work faster than any company I've ever dealt with before. I could see this being turned around relatively quickly. And then, as I say, there's a couple of other projects, potentially even more, that we're going to be working on, assuming that we both like the process with this first one. But okay, so that's TCC. I've got something very cool, very commercial coming out with them. Then again, what I'm about to talk about now is not my project. I wish it was. I wish I was creative enough to come up with this. It's not my project. Chris James has got something coming out. And anybody who knows Chris James knows that he's a genius. And he's got something coming out that he's working with Joel Miranda on. And he's got a couple of things he's working with Joel on, but one particular thing, he told me about it, and I was like, oh my God, this is just like amazing. And then he came back to me and he said, hey, I've been speaking to Joel. Would you like to be involved in the project and help, create the routines and do the tutorial and the performances and everything? And I was like, Chris, I would be honored, one, to be on a project with you, and two, to be involved with this thing, because this thing is so good. What Chris has created here is he's taken a common prop. I say it's a common prop. It's not a common prop at all. But he's taken something that a lot of magicians use, and him and Joel, between them, have turned it on its head. And they've created the best way of doing this plot that I've ever seen. I want to talk more about this, but I can't. But hopefully I'll be able to soon. My God, this is good. The things that you can do with this, I cannot wait for people to see what this can do. First of all, it's the best way to achieve the effect that this thing does. I've never seen a better way of doing it. It's the best way to achieve what this thing does. But also, it's the best presentationally way to do what this does, because it's not just the effect, but it's what the prop allows you to do from a presentational point of view, and that's what makes my mind race. This is killer, and it might come out this year. I know that I've got to go over to Portugal to film a bunch of stuff on this soon, so it might come out this year. I've never worked Joel Miranda before. I don't know how fast his team works. I'm getting regular updates on the gimmick. I'm getting regular updates on Chris. Very excited about the way that Miranda and Chris are working on this and keeping me in the loop. But this is just brilliant. Like I say, I wish I was creative enough to actually work with to create something like this, because this is brilliant. I think this is going to go down as the best way to achieve what this does ever. I think every single magician will want to have one of these. And then the other then the other kind of company I'm working with is Green Lemon. If you know Green Lemon, which are part of Sven and Borsch, these pads. Same company is Green Lemon that makes these pads, and you guys know we love these pads. Well, they've got something that's going to revolutionize coin magic, and I'm getting involved with that. And we're in very early preliminary talks at the moment, but it's looking promising. I need to call them. I missed a call off them yesterday. I need to call them back today, but it's looking very, very promising. So I'm super excited about that. I'll tell you more when I know it, but there's a good chance that my name is going to be attached to something that Green Lemon are doing, and that's going to be happening soon. So that's pretty much everything. Like I say, I didn't talk about the net tricks. There's some amazing stuff that's happening on the net tricks, but that, if everything works out like I hope it does, all of that stuff would come out this year. In reality, it's not. There's no way I'm going to have however many tricks I spoke about come out this year like that. There's no way I'm going to have like 15 routines come out now between now and the end of the year. But This is the stuff that could potentially make it. There's a lot of things that I'm working on that stand absolutely no chance of coming out until 2025, some even 2026. But this bunch of stuff definitely 100% is coming out this year. Well, I say definitely 100%. It could do. It could 100% come out this year. Whether it does or not, there's a million factors to take into consideration, including the company's release schedule. But all of the stuff I've spoken about has a chance to come out this year. And it's really important to me when anything comes out, I keep the same quality going. It's very important that the quality and the standards are as high as everything I've bought out. I love the fact that when I bring something out, people say, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm so glad I bought it. I'm so happy, blah, 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 blah. And I want to continue that. I don't want to have something come out and people go, yeah. That's not what I'm looking for. Because I don't release product for that reason. I release product because I want to bring something to the marketplace that people buy, they put in their act, and they actually go and perform. I want to know that there's people all over the world that are being impacted by a trick that's being performed by a magician. I'll never meet that magician. I'll never meet that person who's being performed to, but I know that something I created and dreamt up is the thing that's allowing them to experience real magic. And that, for me, is the best part of being a creator. So there you go, guys. That's my third and fourth quarter of 2024 release schedule. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, you want to keep updated on all of this, just follow me on all the socials and like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to join the Netrix, I alluded to some big stuff coming up on the Netrix this year, including this next upload that's coming out. I'm going to be actually tipping my wedding trick. So there's a trick that I do at weddings that brings the house down. It's completely self-working, never talked about it before. It allows me to give a souvenir to the bride and groom that they remember forever. I'm gonna be uploading that this Monday, so look out for that, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. But thank you so much for watching. Go to the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow at 6 o'clock with another Magic Live. I'll see you then.